Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us today. I'm Katie Schradel, Content Marketing Manager at ProShip. We are going to give everybody just a couple minutes to join us. So while we wait, Bill, Juan, how are we doing today?
Hey, hey Juan, it's great to see you. How's the summer going?
Summer's going great. Things have been good, keeping busy. Just got back from a vacation with the family, and it's always nice to be able to disconnect a little bit, spend some time with the family, especially as summer ends. That just means time to get ready for peak season.
Yeah, well, it just dropped my first away student at college, and I'm really missing him. I know he's a little bit homesick. I think I miss him more because much like you, I'm an avid DIYer, and when kids get up to that age when they can lift heavy things and they can, kind of take on some of the shoveling and all that stuff, they go away to college. You miss them a lot.
Yeah, I'm fortunate. I still have a few years before that happens. My son is just starting his sophomore year in high school, so you mentioned DIY projects, got a couple of them right now in the pipeline, and I'm trying to get him to start helping me and doing some lift. We're trying to build a little home gym in the house, and he's excited about that. And opportunity for him to learn how to do some DIY projects in the house before he does go to college.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Looking forward to it. Hey, I do appreciate you wearing the green tie. In honor of the post office, I wore a blue one, so I think we're sharing colors. It shows the partnership.
This is actually one of my favorite ties. I'm kind of glad it aligns with the colors of ProShip, and kind of just worked out that way today. I guess you couldn't have set it up any better.
Yeah, well, we appreciate it. Thank you, Juan. Katie, I think maybe we can get started.
Yeah, looks like we got a good amount of people here. So we are here with another session for the 2025 Pros Who Know virtual event. Today's session is the ultimate guide to maximizing savings and speed with the United States Postal Service. Before we jump into the content, I have a couple of small housekeeping items. Please submit your questions using the Q&A function in the webinar. Or if you're on LinkedIn, you can put those in the chat. We will address those at the end today. This webinar is being recorded, so you'll get that on-demand recording sometime within the next week, and you can download any additional resources in the webinar platform from the related content section. Finally, we do have a survey, so give us some feedback, good or bad. We like to hear it all. So today, we are cutting through the noise to get straight to the insights that matter. As I said earlier, I'm Katie Schradel, Content Marketing Manager at ProShip, and today I am joined by two incredible leaders. Juan, you want to give us a quick intro?
Oh, absolutely. And Katie, thank you so much for inviting us here today. And Bill, really excited. We've just been doing so much together over the last few years, and as well as the Postal Service doing a ton of things. But it's really exciting opportunity to be here today. And thank you guys for the invite.
Glad to have you. Bill Schrader, the president of ProShip, before that 20 plus years with FedEx. So I kind of live and breathe parcel and have for a number of years. Juan, one of the topics, given that this is about speed and cost savings, I hear about all the time, and we've got some changes going on at the post office. So maybe the strategy will change. Perhaps it'll stay the course. Interested in finding out about that. But what I hear about all the time is when are my packages going to get there? How much is it going to cost? Shippers are very centered on the savings potential with using multiple carriers, and I usually enter into that conversation. And every CFO out there knows that 1% savings, 2% savings, 5% savings on their actual shipping spend drops right to the bottom line. And that's an important factor. And in today's hyper competitive environment, what's the post office doing to support their shippers? And what do you see the future looking like? And I know we have lots of material to go through. I'm looking forward to it. But I hope you could start off with the more recent news with the postmaster.
That was a lot of information there, Bill, to take in. I mean, there is just a ton going on, but I do think it would be appropriate that we take a minute to spotlight one of the biggest changes and that we've recently gone through. And there's two of them. One is the recent appointment of the 76th Postmaster General, David Steiner, and You guys know he's a seasoned executive, and he's known for his transformation and his leadership over at Waste Management. And another big thing that we just announced and just celebrated actually is a huge major milestone that we just celebrated, being our 250 years of the United States Postal Service. Yeah, and that's exactly right. Almost,
Happy
a
birthday.
half a century connecting, communities, and all about delivering, for the American people. And, it's really exciting that David was able to come in and kick us off in our celebration. And, one thing that I did get to see, during the celebration is that whole celebration was about every postal worker, whether they've retired, our past to present, that have really helped to develop and to build the institution that is today. And at the end of the day, we're extremely excited to have PMG Steiner at the helm as he honors our legacies moving forward, and he embraces all the new technology things that we're developing. But at the end of the day, he continues to reiterate his focus on delivering for America and the network transformation. We're really excited about everything that we're doing, and it's really just been a breath of fresh air to have David come in and just start to sit with us and talk about different strategies and get to better understand the organization.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing what David brings to the industry and the post office and the modernization. Hey, when I was a kid, we always talked about the post office in terms of rain, sleet, or snow. There's a commitment to service with the post office that I think is a little stronger than some of the other carriers. Let's talk about the service commitment.
That's a really big one, and we know it's important to customers, right? And as you think through all the challenges that we've been facing in the organization over the years, as we've been evolving and making the changes that are needed to support the network transformation plan, there's been some times that we've had some concerns about the mission that we're on in regards to our ability to perform and add service reliability, but we're doing it. Right now we are under one of the biggest network transformations in our history. And a change of this scale, it's never simple. I always like to reference what we've been doing over the last 4 years is like flying a 747 in the air, and we're taking off the wheels, we're changing the wings, we're changing the engine, all while trying to fly that plane. And we've been doing that, and we're going to continue to do that. But it's all about building a network that's going to make us more efficient, more effective, and it's truly modernizing our facilities as well and providing a better experience for our employees. Those are our internal customers, and it's about improving the experience for them and driving the right experience for our customers at the same time. The other thing too is referencing, is on-time transit. Speed is going to be important. And we'll talk a little bit more today about, what we're doing and how you can leverage our network to improve on cost, but also how to improve efficiencies so that we can deliver faster for every single customer that we work with. And that's how we're realigning our network. And, we're always excited in every opportunity I get in my role to talk about our newest product, Ground Advantage. It's truly leveraging and enhancing our logistics space to provide a better service. But, we really never truly had a ground product, and Ground Advantage has been a game changer. And we've seen tremendous success since it's gone live, and looking forward to continuing to look for opportunities on how we can leverage that product. And with the network changes that we're making with new trips, we're going to be all about improving the SLAs and the service commitments for our customers. And again, we're hyper focused right now on improving service.
Fascinating. Seems to be exactly on target with the challenges facing shippers and retailers and manufacturers who are competing in a global environment. And even though we're talking about distributing goods in North America, it's the single largest market on earth. So and the post office obviously moves an enormous amount of the commerce that occurs in the United States and globally. I don't want to leave that out, but we're focusing on North America. So let's talk about price. Let's talk about the investment and the initiatives that the post office is having around cost savings and how those benefit the shippers who are customers of the Postal Service.
Yeah, Bill, at the end of the day, our promise is pretty simple, right? Our promise is to maintain competitive pricing and be reliable and have faster delivery. And that's what we're doing. And it's truly strengthening the trust in the Postal Service. And we're excited about everything we're doing. But let's take a look at a little bit about all the initiatives that are going on from a cost savings perspective, right? We're making extremely bold moves on modernizing our infrastructure. And you can see here the cost saving initiatives. This is over 10 billion swing when you look at what we're trying to do to drive out cost, but also the revenue aspect of growing new volume and new business, which we are seeing, especially with our Ground Advantage product. But all this is happening because we're optimizing our transportation routes, we're consolidating trips and reducing our redundancy. This is a huge cost reduction, especially from fuel cost. And by the way, we don't charge any fuel fees. But this redesigning of our network and being able to eliminate, these unutilized trips and eliminate the waste and inefficiencies that have been created over decades, this is truly transformational. We're starting to see the successes coming from that. But one of the things too is we're trying to make sure that there's no impact to service. And we know last year there was some opportunities as we were bringing on board new facilities and making changes. But right now, like I mentioned earlier, we're hyper-focused on service, and we're trying to make sure that we do all these changes while you're seeing also improvements in service, especially at our new regional processing and distribution centers, as well as those that are leveraging access to our sort and delivery centers, our SNDCs. So we are seeing some major improvements, and we're going to continue to see some as we open up new facilities. We have some about 10 more SNDCs going live this year before peak season. And again, all these combinations of things that we're doing is driving down reduction in cost. I think there's also an opportunity now when we drive down cost, we're able to offset that and give a better price for our customers.
Yeah, funny you should mention that. I was just reading in Supply Chain Brain an article. I think Max Garland wrote it. He comments on the industry quite a bit, and it's usually very thoughtful, well-researched commentary. 10 more facilities this year yet before peak, strategically located, I noticed, kind of sprinkled in major metropolitan areas and servicing, decent sized regions of the country. So all of these investments, I'm assuming the goal is to provide affordable and reliable service. Any thoughts or comments about how that is accomplished?
Give you a perfect example. I mentioned the 10 sites that you just discussed and which was brought up in the article just at the SNDCs. And there's a vision that we'll have up to 400 sort and delivery centers in our network. Just think about how our delivery units in the past that would support, last mile delivery was manually sorting volume all the way down to the letter carrier for that last mile delivery before dispatch. These sort and delivery centers are giving us the ability to do sorts all the way down to the carrier route, eliminating cost and improving efficiencies and time. When you go from a manual environment to a specific environment with automation capabilities, is really making us more efficient. But again, back to driving out cost that we can then pass back on to our customer base. So as others are seeing record rate increases and announcing record fuel surcharges, we're in the opposite effect, right? We're maintaining our cost and prices, and while we're working through reducing our costs through the transportation and our sort and delivery center efforts. So we're really excited about that. And then you can look here, we're still, while we're doing all those initiatives, we're also spending and making capital investments on our network. One thing I want to highlight is just what we're doing with our vehicles. And that's going to help us be more effective and efficient, especially in this day and age, delivering packages, right? Our network was built, and with the vehicles that we've had for over 20 years now, was really designed to help and support with moving letters. And as we continue to see growth in the shipping and the package industry, these new vehicles and the investments we're making are paying off. We've had over 20,000 new vehicles already deployed, and we're looking at already acquiring about another 106,000 new vehicles in the near future. And so that's going to really help us, again, reduce costs from maintenance, from fuel efficiencies. You can imagine a vehicle that's over 20 years old, how fuel efficient that is. And then we have our electric fleet that's coming on board. So with an increased cargo capacity, improved fuel efficiencies, less maintenance on vehicles because they're newer, so they're not, having as much maintenance requirements. And then one of the added benefits that I like to talk about, because as a carrier who started in this organization, really excited to see how we're doing the right thing for our employees and implementing air conditioning in all our vehicles, all these new vehicles. So It's improving the experience for our employees. It's going to provide a much better experience also for our customers. So really excited about everything that we've been doing over the last few years, and the future is bright. And as you said, we're going to be able to pass on savings and improve experience continually to every customer that leverages what we're doing.
I'm just absolutely flabbergasted by the amount of investment and how it's targeted strategically. So if we just look back at, reliable service and cost optimization, right? It's obvious, it's self-apparent that new vehicles are more reliable. They're going to have less breakdowns, and you're going to have less exceptions because of mechanical failures. It seems so simple, and yet it's a challenge to do that in today's environment. The technology modernization and the network redesign that you've got going on, I'm looking forward to diving into that as much as we can on this webinar. That sounds like it's creating some new capabilities and new methods of doing things, as well as serving the customers better. And maybe it's a little more flexible. It allows shippers to get creative, find new ways to save money. Let's talk about peak. We're going to be going into peak pretty soon here. What are you guys doing to get ready for that? Other than the obvious things we just talked about, right? That's a lot, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And before we kind of chime in a little bit about peak, I think you brought up something that was really important to capture, right? Is all the investments we're also making in our IT systems, right? And it's really what's helping us unlock with better tools, better visibility. We're enhancing our product tracking systems as well right now. That is going live very, very soon. But our CIO has been dedicating to improving visibility, but it's really helping us as a sales team. My entire team has been extremely excited about the new tools and the ability to make smarter decisions, real-time decisions, but it's also helping us provide better customer conversations, right? From a sales team approach, we're doing things that we haven't ever done before. And it all goes back to the continued investments we're making into our IT investment infrastructure. So that's really exciting. In regards to peak season, Bill,
before you go into this, after you throw a tantalizing morsel of meat out like that, we're a technology company, and I do have to say, I would love to have you and Preetha on a future webinar and dive into the technology, because you're right. Aside from the physical facilities and trucks, the technology that drives us is more important today than it's ever been. If you'll take me up on that offer, we'll have another webinar. Let's get the audience to encourage us to do so. Send us a request, ask us to have that webinar. We will. I'm pretty sure Juan and Preetha would love to show off what they're doing. Thank you for that, Juan. It's great stuff.
I think Preetha well, and most on today's webinar probably know Preetha would love the opportunity to come on and speak to everyone about all the things that she is doing, because you know what, you see her glow every time she talks about the things that she's doing. And that's what's exciting about all the investments that we're making. We're not stagnant. We're making significant improvements in investments. Now we're becoming more of a leader in the industry. And it's really what's helped unlock and us to have the ability to work together, Bill, and really excited about all the opportunities that we're going to continue to do. So I will talk to Preetha as soon as this webinar is over today, and see if we can look at setting some up in the future.
That would be fabulous. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. So now the topic of peak season. Don't think I'm going to forget about what we want to do and everything that's around peak season. And just to share with everyone, we're going to be ready for peak season. We've been building extra capacity into our systems to be able to absorb peak season volumes. Think about it. We've installed over 580 machines over the last years, and we've developed new, regional distribution centers that are really helping us, like in Indianapolis and Phoenix. That's giving us more capacity, more efficiencies, and better visibility as we process in every single package that runs through these plants. And the other part too is that these plants were all strategically located based off of the need for capacity and to allow us the ability to be more effective in our operational strategy. So I'm excited about what we're going to be able to do for peak season. And, the other big thing that we don't talk a lot about is what we've been able to do from stabilizing our workforce. When you think about, the reduction of what we've done from a short time hiring, you think about, we used to hire over 40,000 seasonal employees just to help us get through peak season. And we were able to right size and make majority of those employees full time. And now during peak season, we estimate we'll hire somewhere between 4,000 to 7,000 employees to help support with the demand that comes through peak season. So that's just it just goes to show you the investments we've made in our operations, our mail processing equipment, but the investments we've made in the people and the people who work for the organization, it goes a long way. You know, the other big part too is that we're looking at how we can become more and more flexible with our transportation, you know, making deviations and reacting to real time situations. So when a facility, a regional processing and distribution center, or one of our LPCs, our local processing centers, they start to run into capacity constraints, we have the ability to divert volume to another regional processing and distribution center without hesitation, which we could never have done before under our old operating model. That's going to allow us to be more flexible, especially when you run into issues with weather. That seems to happen during peak season, and you get flight cancellations. All those things impact peak season, not just volume, but the different elements that we have to work through. But because of the efforts and the things that we've been doing and the investments we've made, really excited about the things that we'll be able to do to have a strong, successful peak. So hopefully that answers your question and kind of resonates with the audience today.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like you're totally ready for peak. I'm expecting it to go very well, at least with our USPS customers, and looking forward to seeing this new network and all of this investment, see it perform. You know, now that it's built, what can it do? How can we push it? So let's take a look at the network flexibility. For years, hub and spoke has been the primary method that carriers use to move goods, which, you know, you take everything to one place, you put it in a big pile, and then you distribute it back out to where it has to go. How's the post office's network different in design?
Well, just give you an example. When you had a NDC, right, the National Distribution Centers, and how that model worked, and then you had other facilities that we created because of capacity constraints. So we would set up a hub at one location because that sort sectional facility became constrained. So instead of solving for that problem in a wider scale, well, we would just set up hubs and different hubs to support that facility, which added cost to transportation. It added additional waste to the organization because we would shuttle volume back and forth between these hubs to these sort sectional facilities. All of that is being eliminated. And I think this is a great diagram to kind of show you how everything will work and how everything flows in the new modernized network, right? So just taking a look here, everything is going to start from either an origin point of a delivery unit. So that's where your local customers are coming in and dropping off either at our retail counters at one of our 30,000+ locations, or they're going to come into one of our sort and delivery centers because that is an accessible facility. You also have now our local processing centers, which will support with destination entry as well. But that is an entry point. But everything flows logically and sequenced correctly through our regional processing and distribution centers. And as I mentioned earlier, things that we're doing for peak season, this model allows us to flex and be more creative on how we shift volume and send transportation where needed, where we have capacity, to be more efficient. You know, I look at the days looking forward, and as we talked about technology, how will we be able to leverage this and also look at dynamic pricing to be able to leverage our network? These are things we're talking about. We're excited to look at how we're going to be able to do this. And I think it'll provide even a better experience for customers. But, you know, I want to highlight a little bit about our regional processing and distribution centers. You know, those are going to be our largest facilities in our network. And if you ever had a chance to go and visit one of these sites, it's great to see just how volume arrives on one side of the building. Very minimal touch from a person. It literally goes from the facility's dock right off the truck, right onto sorting equipment, and then it exit after it's processed for ready for dispatch. So you have very little handling, and we're going to have about 56 of these locations across the country. And then closing out, kind of want to highlight, you know, I mentioned destination entry. You still have the ability now to do that if it's the right mix for that right customer. And that's leveraging our local processing centers at the destination end. And we're looking at being able to expand that ability, and that's providing next day service when tendered to a destination entry local processing center. So really exciting about what we're doing. And then the last thing, just the delivery units still seem to be the backbone. When you have 30,000+ physical locations and the ability to be able to reach every single residence and every single home 6 days a week. It's just been phenomenal how we've been able to leverage this, and I think we can do something that nobody else can do, and we're doing it.
Amazing. Yeah, the fact that you can go to every address in the U.S. every day and do it cost effectively is amazing in itself. And then I don't see any of the normal activities that I see with other carriers around pricing and cost controls that are oriented around every single unit and every single address. The pricing for the post office is significantly simpler, and trust that we have to rate all of the packages that our shippers ship. So we're kind of familiar with pricing technology and how it actually accomplishes the job. And you mentioned it a couple times. No fuel surcharge, no volume surcharges, I assume. Is that also true?
No accessorials there, no volume charges. We're that's what makes us very easy when you look at from a budgeting perspective and being able to look. Our prices are very simple, and we try to be very, very transparent with our pricing and allowing the ability to have a very lean budget, because you'll know what your shipping spend is when you're working with the United States Postal Service.
Yeah, that's good to know, because it's not always easy to predict, especially the way some of the surcharges have a variable nature. Hey, all this, the network together, how has this impacted time in transit? It seems like you wouldn't do this just so you could do the same thing. So let's look at how this has improved service.
Now, talk about time in transit and really how Ground Advantage has been a game changer. But one thing, wanted to kind of capitalize on, and as we were discussing, really price. There's a great opportunity for customers to also look at our cubic pricing. I think that's one of the biggest things that customers we see every day unlock. And as that becomes more and more of an option for customers to leverage, they really maximize the best cubic size product, and they get the best price, right? So just wanted to throw that out there. It's really something that gets overlooked, but it is something that I'd recommend everybody to look at.
Well, and that just opens up that whole conversation, and I think it warrants its own session again. So a dive into technology, a dive into pricing strategies and impacts, I think would both be worthwhile sessions for us to share and help educate the audience. So if you're willing to do the pricing one too, I'd love to have you.
Bill, I'm pretty busy, but let's see how we can do that, because at the end of the day, it's important information to share and making sure that everybody is aware. So we'd love the opportunity to do that, and our ability to improve how we communicate all these new products and things that we're doing. And I'm excited. I'm going to share some new products in a little while, hopefully with you and everybody joining us today. But yeah, love the opportunity to do that.
All right, awesome. Well, let's talk about time in transit. These maps look vastly different. Looks like an improvement. Some areas might go a little slower, but for the most part, everything around you is 2 days.
This is a great example. This is using our Chicago Regional Processing and Distribution Center. So if you're leveraging the Regional Processing and Distribution Center out of Chicago, you can see the left side was our old service standards pre-July, and you can see significant shifts as you look to the updated maps on the right. And that light green area, similar to the tie I'm wearing, that represents a 2-day service standard and the change between our previous service standards to today. Now, keep in mind, a lot of the things that we did in the processes we had in place, was all historically written around moving first-class mail. And now everything is running together. Everything's integrated, from our letters to our flats to our packages. But the big thing is what makes it so special is, we've seen package growth of over 200% over the years compared to the decline in single piece mail. And having an integrated network is truly the right thing to do. And it goes back to what I was describing earlier about the cost efficiencies that we're looking to get. But really excited, and I talked about how Ground Advantage has been a game changer. This is truly the perfect example to show you how expanding our reach for 2-day, and it may be a little bit difficult to see on the map, but not much 5-day on there for a product that's a 2 to 5 day service. You can see we're reaching a majority of the continental US within 2 to 4 days. So, and as our service continues to improve week over week, and as we get ready for peak, this is something that many should be able to look at and start to unlock this as a product that they should be using.
Yeah, it looks like there's just one tiny little 5-day area there. It's hard to even make out on the map at this size. So yeah, I think it would be fair to say Ground Advantage is primarily a 2 to 4 day product. I don't think anyone would ding you for making that assertion. All of these things together, the technology, the price rationale, and the service standards. And did I catch this right? This was since July, so literally just since last month this became effective.
That's correct. And that was when we updated our service standards, and we're starting to see these changes now. You can't just flip a switch, right? So all this doesn't happen from one day to the next. We started making the adjustments to our transportation about a month to a month and a half prior to the July implementation date. But we did go live with these changes in July, and we're seeing the significant benefits from the expanded reach that we're now reaching with Ground Advantage.
Just in time for peak. Timing's
Absolutely.
Yeah, timing's perfect. All right, cool. You mentioned some new products. Can we talk about those? Are there ones that you can talk about?
I will share we're doing a lot of things, right? We want to make sure we're the best in class in processing and delivery operations, but because of the changes that we're making with our network, it's also given us the ability to unlock a suite of new products and also develop new solutions. So we talked a little bit about kind of what we're doing with the network changes and our facility changes with our vehicles. And all those changes really help us look for new capabilities so that we can leverage the network that we're building. So a couple examples I'll share with you today, and you're sharing it here, is Priority Mail Next Day, right? We just released the Priority Mail Next Day product, and that has been targeted and being offered in 62 markets. And those 62 markets were developed based off of the expanded reach for those facilities and leveraging those sites. And a lot of that is built off of the ability to reach a site within 150 miles. We're getting you next day service, but the best part is it's at an incredible rate. To get a next day service using Priority Mail with packaging within 150 miles is a pretty phenomenal service that we're now offering. And the best part is it's logically flowing with our volume today using our network that we're building. So really excited about the things, and it's already unlocked new opportunities and expanded relationships with many customers. So looking forward to that continuing. One thing, Bill, I'll share that we're looking at, and it's still a little early in the process, but I talked about our sorting and delivery centers, and I talked about how we're looking to have about 400 of those sorting delivery centers across the country. And with the ability now to process volume, right, packages in these sorting and delivery centers, we're looking at how we can potentially unlock same day delivery when you enter into a sort and delivery center. And when you think about how the reach of a sort and delivery center changes from a delivery unit, because most of our sort and delivery centers collapse somewhere between 5, 7, 8 to 10 delivery units, that reach at a sort and delivery center has significantly increased. So we're looking to how we can potentially leverage with a midday drop and do afternoon deliveries for same day. So all those are things that we're looking at, and really excited about how that might play out.
Yeah, same day is definitely an interesting area of innovation. So I'm looking forward to digging into that more at a future opportunity. This is all fabulous stuff. I'm really excited about how we've been working together with the post office. The last couple years, as we've worked on delivery mechanisms for the actual technology, just the bits and bytes that need to be processed to make the physical part of this whole equation work. Before we go into talking about the partnership with ProShip and the post office, any last words around the products, the flexibility of the network, the pricing strategy? Any thoughts about how this is going and where we're going in the future?
Let me highlight a couple things, because the future is all about what we're developing, right? And there's obviously, as e-commerce continues to explode, we've looking at new options for returns and how we leverage our expansion of our smart lockers in our delivery units and our retail units. That's going to be huge for us, right? There's a great opportunity for us to focus on returns We just started deploying within the last couple months to certain delivery units or retail units, what we call bags for returns. So it's called packageless returns, allowing customers to come in with a QR code and bring an item in that does not have a box, scan a QR code, access to a bag that they can just put the good in, attach a label, and send the item on its way. So that's just one new thing that we've launched to be able to expand a simplistic service to increase our opportunity to drive a better experience for return solutions. Another thing I wanted to share is we're looking at and exploring local fulfillment. And we've been talking about it for a little while, is how do we leverage these assets that we have across the entire country and potentially do some type of fulfillment services. But it's early stages. It's still really discussion about what these opportunities may look like, but would love to have the opportunity to talk to customers to see if there's an opportunity so we can explore this further. But what I'm really excited, Bill, to talk about today is we are working on a new product, and we call it Post Host, and it's just launching recently, and it's leveraging our Ground Advantage services, and it's just bringing the products using Ground Advantage closer to consumers. So where a customer wants a same day pickup, this is unlocking that opportunity. So let me kind of give you an example of how that works. So company has X amount of products. They have significant value and customer base in certain markets. They can forward deploy using Ground Advantage those products to our post offices, and we will hold those post office will hold those products in the original container that it came in as a Ground Advantage. And then in the shopping cart experience, so when somebody's buying an item on their website, they'll have the option in the checkout shopping cart experience for same day pickup. And how we would leverage that is they would come in to the post office, and we would fully manage that fulfillment for them. And the customer would be able to come in at one of these locations. Many of them are accessible 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They can come in, scan a QR code, and use one of our smart lockers or PO boxes to pick up that good. And I think that's a phenomenal experience. If you think about, you have the exploding use of buy online, pick up in store. That's exactly what this is. Post Host is a buy online, pick up in store, or we like to call it a buy online, pick up at post office experience. And it's at your convenience. So it's just one more way we're looking at how do we leverage our assets across the United States to bring new solutions and new products to customers. So we're excited about this. We're having some great conversations right now with some customers to be going live. And again, opportunity. If there's anybody who's interested to learn a little bit more about how Post Host can add additional value to the customer experience for your customers, we'd love to hear from you, and definitely reach out to us, reach out to Bill, and we'll get connected and be able to kind of walk you through how this whole entire process will work and how this will be able to, again, reinforce what we're doing as an agency to provide new products, service. But again, it's all about using Ground Advantage, and it's very cost effective to do this and providing an amazing experience for the customer at the end of the day.
Wow. It sounds like the investments and the modernization and kind of the redesign of the network has unlocked a lot of capabilities. It's almost like the foundation for a whole new set of postal services and features, and we can expect service standards to continue to improve and efficiencies to be unlocked with this new network. It sounds amazing, almost too good to be true. I don't want to question whether or not you're telling me the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but it's all logical. It all makes perfect sense that the infrastructure, the vehicles, the people all have to pull together to deliver what the post office is famous for. And that's, rain, sleet, or snow, the package has got to get there, right?
Absolutely. And that is the truth. And that has been our model for a very long time. And we continue to do it every single day.
Yeah, that's amazing. All right, so I would like to take just a minute here and talk about the partnership, because I think it's important. We touched a little bit on the technology, and hopefully we have a future session with Preetha and we can go into that. But just for a snapshot for our audience, both postal customers and ones who have yet to become postal customers, ProShip has spent the last year working on and coordinating with the post office delivery of their technology through the final mile to connect to the WMS ERP systems that are in use already in those enterprises. It could be a homegrown system, it could be an Oracle system, cloud-based or on-prem. It doesn't matter. We can connect to anything. And we can make that connection then to the Postal Service's technology, which has undergone a modernization of its own that is equal to the physical build out that we've seen. The API is amazing. The ship product as a spec-based solution is amazing. We know several of those. I'd say it's one of the best in the industry, if not the best. It's just been phenomenal. And like I've mentioned, the ProShip and Postal partnership has been strong. The technology is solid and vetted, and we've built in as many of the bells and whistles as possible. Looking forward to continuing to build out things like Post Hub, Post Host, and some of the other capabilities and products that get launched in the future, and making sure that they're accessible to our customers. I like to think of us as the digital final mile. So as you're building out all these APIs and the connections between systems, that last connection between the carrier and the actual shipper and their specific systems, that's what we do. And we've done our very best to enable that capability with the post office in a very complete format and nature, so that customers can take advantage of all of the new greatness that's being developed here. So hopefully we can continue that in the future. And Juan, I think we're about ready to see if we can answer some questions. The audience has been pretty quiet lately. We'll see if there are some questions popping out. Thanks. I appreciate your time today, Juan.
Thank you. And, just to kind of touch on that, at the heart of this partnership is truly finding the right solutions, and ProShip, as you just mentioned, all the suite of offerings that you have. And I just walked through all the new products, it's about having these partners and working with ProShip to be able to unlock the ability to leverage and use them and do them seamlessly. And you guys have been at the forefront of that, and it's been great to work with you directly and for the entire team at ProShip. We appreciate the opportunity to do this, and we thank you for having us on today.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, we've got some time left, so we will open it up to the audience. I know we got some questions in, but please keep submitting those questions. We're going to answer as many as we can today, and then we'll follow up with those that we don't get to after the event. So here's a question we got. And it's about the partnership stuff that you guys just talked about. So how does this partnership make it easier for shippers to use the new products and the pricing that you talked about? Juan, I think I'll probably go to you first for this one.
Katie, I think I was just speaking to that. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about working together with partners that are leading in the industry. And again, it's about connecting both the Postal Service, the customer together, and bringing and bridging the gap with all the different solutions that exist, but also taking what we're building. I think Bill talked about it, right? We're doing a lot in regards to the enhancements with our technology, from our APIs to USPS Ship. But when we create new products, a lot of times we need to have customized solutions to support a customer. And that's where the partnership is important, right? Is to be able to provide that seamless transition and build out what is needed so that any customer is able to leverage these new solutions and not take years, because some of the stuff is not just off the shelf. Some of the stuff takes some significant work to create, and that's exactly what's happening. And then doing it, we talked about the reliability of the shipping and what we're doing on our end. There's the reliability also on the software. And again, that's working together. And Preeth has been heavily involved to make sure everything is good on our end in regards to speed and that reliability is met. So it's been a great partnership, and appreciate the opportunity to continue to work together. A lot of things we're going to be able to do together as well in the future as we deploy these new products.
Yeah, Bill, let's hear your take on that question.
Yeah. I do have to say I've been surprised multiple times on this journey, specifically from the technology aspect with the post office. I've been just flabbergasted at the amount of investment, but also the thinking that went into how it was going to be built, how it was going to be designed, how it was going to service not only today's needs, but the future needs. The API is deployed regionally. It is super fast. It doesn't matter where you are. If you're in any region of the US, you can hit that thing and the latency is very, very low. I'm not going to give you a number because somebody will be 2 milliseconds longer, and then they'll be like, Bill, you were wrong. It was 12 milliseconds, not 10. So I'm not going to commit to that, but I think if you put it up against any of the others, it is performing at an optimal level, exceeding pretty much everyone's expectations for an API. So that's phenomenal. I mean, it's just amazing the way it works. And the features that are in it, it is very inclusive. It allows a lot of capabilities. I'd love to tell you that we've exploited all of them and incorporated all of them. And then the first customer we come to invented a new way and wanted some information out of an API that was a little bit off the beaten track. And we managed to collaborate with the post office and deliver it in no time. So really great stuff in the way that the partnership works. Very open and easy to work with is what I've found our technology endeavors to be. So I'm looking forward to continuing this and what new stuff's coming next.
Yeah, it's all about those shared goals and that we're both on the same page there. Another question here, Juan, I'll probably give this one to you. How does the new network handle these unexpected volume spikes that we get year round? I'm not just talking about peak season.
Great question. And I kind of talked a little bit about it, but at the end of the day, it's what makes the Postal Services network that we're developing. It makes it a game changer for us, because the short answer to your question is it's all about flexibility. And our redesigned network gives us more flexibility that we couldn't do it in the past. It just didn't exist. The network didn't allow for it. I'll give you a perfect example. We recently brought on a pretty large customer that's in the subscription-based side. They only do about shipments about 5 days a week. So how do you manage significant amount of volume in 5 days? You can't just spread that over the entire month. And what that's allowed us to do is get very flexible and creative on our transportation and leverage our different regional processing and distribution centers. We're no longer just locked into just using one facility to process that volume. We're dynamically shifting that volume to different facilities so that we can meet the customer's expectations and our SLAs. We're doing about 7 pickups from this one customer every day, and each pickup goes to a different regional processing and distribution center where that volume is unloaded, processed, and already turned around to start going out to that destination local processing and distribution center. So again, this is one example of things that we can do during peak season. But throughout the year, obviously, to be able to provide solutions for customers, but also protect the volume and performance at our facility. So that's what's really exciting. Somebody who's been in operations, worked in mail processing, to be able to see the things that we can do and do it dynamically, it's really been a breath of fresh air, and it's really exciting for the organization and the employees to be able to see that we have that ability to do that, make those decisions. So that's, again, just an example of things that we're doing to improve the network and handle unexpected volumes.
Bill, I know that ProShip has customers that have peak seasons year round, whether that's, the middle of summer or Mother's Day, Valentine's Day, whatever it is. What can you add from the ProShip side?
Yeah, I'm going to dive into that, but one of the things I think we need to consider first, and the peak variability with different industries and different retailers is part of it, but the other dynamic of that is also the package type, right? And that's one of the aspects that I don't think people really consider when they're thinking about a multi-carrier system like ProShip. Usually it's just because they're looking to shop multiple carriers for price. So that's the impetus that causes customers to begin to look at this kind of technology in order to make their commitments to their customers, right? But not all the carriers are the same. So the days when you used to bundle all of your volume together with one carrier made sense. That carrier would take all of your packages, big, small, heavy, light, it didn't matter. And today, that's not the case. The carriers are better at different types of parcels than they are at others, and their networks are designed around that. So the peak variability with things like school supplies, a peak that we've just gone through, right? Those have a particular dynamic to them, and they're different than maybe Halloween peak, Christmas peak, or Valentine's Day peak, right? Are they flowers? Are they fresh and perishable? Are they in nice little long rectangular shaped boxes? Do those sort well in the carrier system that you're trying to use for those packages? Or another dynamic, t-shirts around sporting events. Super Bowl is another mini peak that occurs every year. That's when some of the big players in the sports paraphernalia and merchandise, they're shipping things that are great for the post office. It's a t-shirt or a jersey in a poly bag. It fits in your mailbox nicely. So one of the things to keep in mind when picking a carrier and when you're picking technology is, am I putting the right packages in the right network? The carriers appreciate that. And am I using technology that enables that? And one of the things, without going into any technical detail, we do carrier volume balancing. And that's one of those things that allows you during multiple seasonal peaks to make sure that your packages go into the right network, that you're meeting your contractual obligations with that carrier, and that all the parameters are lining up for the strategic goals that you have for your fulfillment supply chain needs. So it's not just, oh, how many more packages can the post office take during peak versus UPS, right? We also have to make sure that the carrier is putting the right packages into the right carrier network during that peak so that the volume can be absorbed easily. If you're shipping a bunch of canoes, the post office is probably not a good choice. You probably want to look at some white glove LTL carrier, right? And I know that's an extreme example, except I've been in parcel sort facilities and I've seen rows of canoes lined up against the door. They didn't belong there. That was a bad choice, and something probably went wrong. So it's peak. It's which carrier is good for my parcels and my peak needs and my customers, and variability in regional effectiveness and everything else comes into play. But for the most part, make sure you're putting the right packages and the right volumes with the right carrier, and you won't be disappointed by the service levels. Most customers I've run across that have major issues with a carrier, they were probably trying to put the wrong parcels into the network, and it just didn't work out well.
Right. Thanks, Bill. All right. Next one here. Everyone talks about price, but what other metrics should we be measuring to know if the new USPS network is delivering on its promises? Want to let you tackle this one first.
Katie, thanks for that. But real quick, want to kind of lead into something that you were just talking about, Bill, and what's important for peak season and even outside of peak season is also kind of getting volume projections, right? That is really huge for us to have the ability to kind of have a better idea of what type of volumes we can anticipate week out, 2 weeks out, a month out, so we can coordinate and plan better, right? I know I talked a lot about the ability to dynamically shift volume, but sometimes there's no better way than to do it in advance and having a plan of what you're going to do and being able to communicate that. So just one other example, and I love the idea. I had brought up cubic earlier, and the example you just mentioned on canoes and kayaks, right? Yeah, I don't think those make the cubic rate exactly. So I agree. That's not the best fit for us.
Yeah.
But that's why those are the things that you should be doing and everybody should be doing to make sure that they're using the right product. And any way you can plan and forecast and give us information so we build the right plan for you to build success, that's what it's all about. And then, and Katie, just to kind of go back to kind of metrics, right, and how we're delivering, I think on-time delivery it's extremely important, right? It's a key benchmark, not just for us, but for our customers. But I think the other thing that we're doing now that we never used to do because we have more visibility than ever before is we're not just looking at when an item was delivered and if it was delivered within the SLA, but we're looking at whether the package arrived early as well. And we're seeing a lot of times a product that has a 4-day service standard, we're actually delivering it at 70+% of the time in 3 days. And that kind of gets overlooked sometimes. But I also know it's extremely important for customers, right? The reliability of data is, hey, when am I expecting the item, and that they get it within that window. So we're looking at that more now than ever. It's really of how many times we're delivering early, not just on time, and also looking at how do we improve too, so that we're more accurate in the real-time information of when the product's going to be delivered. And that's why I always love, our Informed Delivery app, and being able to provide real-time communication of when a package is scheduled to be delivered. So a lot of things that we're doing to just get better, but also adapting to real-world conditions. I mentioned earlier, weather can be an impact during peak season, and it's how do we prepare and do things and make dynamic changes so that we're ahead of the game when different conditions occur. And then we'll continue to look at how we perform. And like I said, excited about what we're going to be doing in peak season. Lots of things going on, and looking forward to working with many of you on making sure our peak season is successful.
Awesome. All right, Bill, what are you hearing from customers and others in the industry about metrics?
So the data is very, very important. And with some of the new tools we have with AI and machine learning, and the evolution of our ability to do really deep, complicated analytics on the networks, initially it arose out of the freight audit and pay functionality, and that was really just about recouping some costs and recovering some revenue, depending on which side of it you looked at. But that's grown and matured into a very advanced analytical science and discipline, and there's a number of companies out there that do it. ProShip partners with a few of them. Those metrics really guide us to optimize our ability to interface with the carriers. So as shippers, or as a technology platform that enables shippers and carriers, the intersection of the data and the advanced analytics is now revealing opportunities where we can selectively and strategically select parcels for a particular carrier network based on more metrics than just the size and weight of the package. And I'll give you an example, and Juan brought it up. So packages sometimes get delivered early, right? So if your delivery commitment with a customer is to have it there on Tuesday, and that would be a day early for a particular service, yet the analytics tell us that that service gets there 89% of the time a day early, a day earlier than the published time in transit, or a day earlier than the service standard that it's committed to, and you're looking at your data and analyzing it, then you know that. Now you also know that you can deliver that package on Friday the previous week. It's going to be there on Tuesday, even though the service standards may indicate to you that it would be a Wednesday delivery. It allows you to keep your promise to the customer with a certain degree of confidence, and the analytics allowed you to save a little bit of money on that shipment. You get to pick a more deferred service versus upgrading it to a priority service. Those are the kinds of things people are looking at metrics to give them today. Insight into how exactly at the time of shipment should they make the best decision for that parcel. You take the same parcel, 2 hours later, you may have missed the cutoff for the carrier that's going to get there in 3 days. Now you have to upgrade it. So again, the analytics have determined that you should pull those packages, fill them, pack them, and get them ready to ship before that carrier pulls their trailer for the day. All of those are factors that you have to take into consideration. And the modern optimization of transportation spend is a science in and of its own. There is enormous resources dedicated to it because, again, the CFOs out there know if I can eke out just 0.1% of additional savings in my transportation, that goes right to the bottom line. E-commerce is a fiercely competitive business. All of us service e-commerce, shipping, and all of the activity that goes with it. And key metrics are the data drives the world in our world.
Yeah, Bill, appreciate that example. All right, we are getting there on time, so I think we'll squeeze in one more quick question. Bill, I think this one is more directed towards you. So with new network and services and carriers out there, our options are getting more complex. What's the best way a shipping system can help us make the right routing decisions in real time and then get the most out of those changes?
Well, that's a big question.
Yes.
There's an entire PhD set of educational material that goes with this. To make it real simple, let's just talk about the analytics and the data, and that drives decisions, right? So if you don't have systems that are capturing the data at the relevant points, you can't execute good decisions on the front end. So making sure that you understand how your carriers perform, where they perform best, and making sure that they get the right packages, you can sum all that up into what is your transportation strategy. And every company has a different strategic approach to it, how they're going to optimize their spend to accomplish their mission, which is delivering to their customers. So at the end of the day, when you analyze all the data and you have a good playbook, now you have to execute that playbook, and that's what ProShip does, and that's where we really fit in the industry. If you don't do those two things and you put the canoes into the postal network, Juan is going to call you and tell you those do not qualify for cubic pricing. It's too big, it's the wrong size, you shipped it on the wrong day. So all of that tied together is really part of a strategic plan that gets actually coded into algorithms, and those algorithms execute perfect, flawless decisions hundreds of thousands of times a day. And really, I think we're beyond the point where humans can just pick, oh, that one goes on the FedEx pallet, that one goes on the UPS, this one gives us to DHL, and then these are our small packages, they go with the post office. May or may not be true. If you don't actually analyze all the data, you don't know. The best choice is not simply the cheapest one anymore. If you just pick the cheapest option, you're probably putting some parcels into the wrong network.
Yeah, sounds like it's all about the data there.
If one has any thoughts about that as well, I'm sure they would prefer not to have the canoes and kayaks as well.
No, our preference is not, but I will tell you, as we're getting smarter and as we're putting in new equipment sets in our organization across the network, we will be able to be more effective and efficient with larger packages. So don't count us out when we just say small. There's a lot of opportunity, and as the network evolves, our product profile is going to be able to shift a little bit more to be able to provide more of a solution for our customers as well. So, but canoes, yeah, likely not going to be our preference.
Yeah.
You actually hit on an interesting point in the middle of all that, and that is that the customers putting the parcels into the network have a lot of choices, right? And the choices don't stay the same. As USPS's capabilities for different sizes, shapes, or better performance in specific regions, we just saw the change that occurred in time and transit service standards for you just last month, right? So if you don't go back to your strategy and take that into consideration, then you're missing a 2-day delivery service window that the system probably automatically picked it up. But if you don't rethink your strategy and optimize for it again, you may be missing opportunities.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, with that, we are out of time. So thank you so much, Juan and Bill, for your incredible insights today. This was a masterclass in what the USPS is doing to drive profitability and efficiency. So to our audience, thank you so much for joining us, and have a great day, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you.